Hello everyone, this hour on Verbling, the next in my Getting Results in Business series. We're on a new unit and a new level. We're working on the upper intermediate level, B2 in the European framework, and our new unit is how to make a first impression. So far we've looked at keywords, talking about good and bad impressions. We're going to finish up the vocabulary today and put it to use in a speaking task where we have to talk about your impressions of a situation. So that's a bit about the class. Here's a bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. Here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means when you're not speaking, turn off your microphone so we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. When you are speaking, tune in to the new words that you learn and use them actively so that I can give you feedback. And rule 3, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And you'll notice the presentation that I gave you a link to looks like this when you go to the first page. So I will put that link there for you in case you don't have it open. Give me just a second. So in the chat window you'll see presentation. There you go. And I don't know if we'll be using it, but I'll put our shared notes in the chat window as well. Okay, so the one that says Docs Google Presentation is our presentation. And after shared notes, you'll see Docs Google Document. That's where I put corrections. If I give you corrections, if we have time. I don't always use it in every class. Okay, so before we get started, let me just say a quick hello to everyone. So welcome back, Raphael. Hope everything's going okay with you. Okay. Are we cool?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Francesco, nice to see you again from yesterday.
Thank you.
How are you, Francesco?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll have more people in a few minutes, but let's get started with or without them. So what we're going to do, look, we've already got people now. There's Giuseppe. So what we're going to do is jump right into our unit. In the past, let me get the screen sharing working. That's not it. Hold on. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So, in this unit so far, we've been talking about first impressions. You will be introducing yourself by email, making a follow-up call, and arranging to meet someone. That's part of making a good impression, is just being organized with the details about how to arrange a meeting. So we'll do it in the context of arranging a meeting. Whoops, went ahead. At the end of the unit, we'll be revising the present continuous and present simple tenses, making sure you know which to use and when, particularly if you're arranging contact details and meetings, things like that, because it'll make a significant impression on people if you're mixing those tenses up, particularly if you're on the phone and things have to be said quickly. So we'll use that as an opportunity to revise our verb tenses. In this class, we'll finish the working with words section, which is talking about impressions. We've already started. We're going to finish today. So in the first class, we kind of got started by talking about the impression the picture made on us from the first page. Then we talked a little bit about the impression that people have of you and your company. That's important. We're going to come back to that in just a second. We read a short text and we learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 important keywords, 8 nouns, important keywords for having impressions. We basically talked about the text. We defined the words in slide number 7. And then we looked at commonly confused words, words that get a little bit more difficult, because we then listened to an interview where all those words that are commonly confused were used as questions to an interviewer. from an interviewer to an interviewee. Okay. So in the last class yesterday, we looked at we just started to listen to the interview. We listened to the interview is what I want to say, but we didn't do a lot of work with it just yet, I don't think. So I think what we're going to do is go back and learn a second set of words based on the interview. So what I'm going to have you do is listen a second time. You'll notice all of those questions should appear somewhere in the interview. Okay, so it'll give you a chance to review the keywords as well in the questions. So, give me just a minute because I need to open the interview. Whoops, I need to open it again on my computer. Otherwise I can't read it. Hold on. Student's book, okay. And this is question 1. I wish I had the page written down. I have to go look for it. Okay, here it is. That was fast. Okay, got it. So, listen carefully a second time to our interview. Listen carefully. Remember, there's a web designer in Hong Kong talking about adapting websites to local needs. The context here is that how you present your website is partially how you make a good impression on your clientele. It's one of the tangibles that we talked about. We talked about tangibles and intangibles yesterday. Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. I have to turn off the mic and fix something on my computer. I'll be right back. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Here we go. The presenter asks Mr. Lee, so, is most of your work to do with translating websites from English? Mr. Lee says, no, not really. Although we do get a lot of Western companies who want to break into Asian markets, the problem is they think they can just come along and translate their websites just like that. But really, that's a very expensive and ineffective way of doing things. Presenter, there's more to it than that. Yes, and to be honest, it's quite arrogant to think you can create a favorable impression and attract lots of customers without really trying. To start with, customers are still wary. Presenter, of what? Of newcomers or of the technology? Lee, both. You really have to work hard to show that you're trustworthy and to make customers feel confident in your company. Presenter, yes, but that's not a particularly Asian phenomenon, is it? I mean, if you have a website with spelling mistakes, people are bound to be suspicious, aren't they? Lee, that's right. But just like in traditional advertising, some things are more effective in some cultures than others. Presenter, so you're saying a localized website would need to be genuinely different in some way? Lee, yes, that's right. In the West, websites have lots of words, lots of facts, lots of figures, and they're often quite complex. But here, the websites that work best are simple and functional. In the same way that many Asian cultures prefer offices that are modest rather than ostentatious. Presenter, a case of less is more. Lee, yes, exactly. And you have to understand that you have to understand the local culture. For example, here in China, when people go shopping online, they like sites where they can bargain and make a deal. That's because what they like to do in real life is bargain and make a deal. Presenter, so a website like that would need a lot more than just translating. You might have to rebuild the whole site from scratch. Lee, that's right. For really successful website localization, you have to start the process from the beginning, taking all the cultural things into account, not just translate words and hope for the best. Okay, I know we talked about the questions yesterday, But just as a review, in what way is website localization like other forms of advertising? I know we talked about it yesterday, but Raphael, how would you answer that question?
In what way is website localization like other forms of advertising?
According to Mr. Lee here.
I cannot say because I couldn't understand all the speech properly.
All right. Well, I can read it again if you like. Hang on a second.
Do you have the script in anywhere?
I don't have it. I don't have it anywhere. I can share it with you, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay, but let's see. Let's see what the group thinks. Okay, because if necessary, we'll listen to it again. Go ahead, Yuki. What were you going to say?
This guy, whose name?
We'll call him Lee.
Lee said that it is not enough to just to translate. He said that it is important to take account.
Take into account.
Take into account about local culture.
Right.
The Western way is different from Asian way in advertising.
Well, that's the main idea, that you have to take into account the local culture and start from scratch. In other words, it's not just translating the words. It's rebuilding the website in view of the local culture, the difference that they may have from the culture where it was originally created. Absolutely. Let me just say a quick hello to some people I didn't see come in. So I can see Ishmael now, and I can see George, is it, or Jorge? Is it George or Jorge? Jorge? Or George? I don't know how to say your name.
Jorge is my name is Jorge. Yeah.
Where are you from, Jorge?
Yeah,
Where are you from?
I'm from Spain. I live in Madrid.
In Madrid. Okay.
This is my first time with you, my first class with Berlin. I'm in a free trial, and I try to understand how the classes are.
Okay. Well, let me give you a quick introduction. Look, this is a business class, and we're doing a unit of about 8 classes, more or less 8 classes, about how to make a good impression. And the goal is to be able to talk about your impression of a person or a company and be able to talk about the impression you want to make. That's our goal, generally. Okay?
Okay.
And what we're doing in the first couple of classes is just learning vocabulary. So far, let me move forward. So far, we learned a set of keywords, nouns, and today we're moving on. We did some exercises with the nouns. Today we're moving on to adjectives by listening to them in context from an interview. So hopefully you heard a bit of the interview that I just read, because that's where the adjectives are. Okay. So we're now gonna pick out those adjectives and make sure that they're clear. Then we're going to use the nouns and adjectives in a speaking task in about 10 minutes. We're going to use them as much as you can remember to have a business meeting of our own. Okay? That's the plan.
Okay.
All right. So did everyone hear the interview that I read? Because I didn't see people come in. So did everyone catch most of the interview? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
All right. If you want me to read it again, I'll read it again. I don't have the transcript on this computer, so I can't show it to you. But I really don't want you reading the transcripts, to be honest with you. I really want you listening, training your ears. What I can do is make a recording as a homework. I can give you maybe the transcript and recording if you want to practice listening and reading. But I have to set that up for you. But during the class, I want you to just listen as carefully as you can and practice concentrated, focused listening. two kinds of listening. Listening for the gist, where you just get the general idea, and listening for details. That would mean that we listen a second time and focus, now that you know the gist, focus on specific details and specific parts. Okay, this first part was just about the gist. So that's why these questions are general questions. Let me ask you, Giuseppe and Francesco, because you were here, what differences between websites for Asian and Western consumers does Mr. Lee mention? Francesco, let's start with you. Can you give me one detail that he mentioned?
Yes, there are a lot of difference between the website.
Give me one, just one.
For example, in the West website, there is a lot of words and figures and fact in the website.
Mm-hmm. Great. So that's one difference. And whereas I want you to use a contrast connector. Whereas Western websites have a lot of facts and words and figures, what do Eastern ones have?
The Eastern is more simple and functional.
Simpler and more functional. Simpler
and more functional. With a lot of bargain and make a deal like a real market in the Asian or China country.
In an Asian country or in China. Okay.
Or in China.
Yeah, the key word there was bargaining. They generally like to bargain. The website should also have a way for them to bargain, to bring down the price through discussion. Giuseppe, there's one more detail that Francesco didn't mention, which is, should localized websites, according to Mr. Lee, how should they be? How would you describe them compared to a Western website? If you have a choice between something that's a little bit flashy, right, or something that's a little bit, well, that's not so flashy, more subdued, what would the Asian market prefer, according to Mr. Lee, Giuseppe?
According to Mr. Lee, the market should be favorable, given in a positive image without. Sorry?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that Mr. Lee says that the market should be favorable for the consumers and for the local market.
Not favorable, but appealing.
Appealing. Yeah, appealing. Attractive persons, attractive consumers, without any ostentatious advertisement.
Right, nothing ostentatious. So, do they like flashy things?
No.
Giuseppe, do they like flashy things? No. Okay. So flashy and ostentatious mean basically the same thing. Okay, let's focus on the adjectives. Okay, you have to match each of these adjectives from the audio to an adjective with a similar meaning. You have to find the synonyms. So your adjectives are expensive, suspicious, ostentatious, ineffective, complex, successful, arrogant, functional, wary, trustworthy, modest, favorable. Those are the ones that we heard. You have to match them to reliable, unsuccessful, showy, positive, costly, mistrustful, practical, complicated, simple, effective, overconfident, and cautious. That means you have to know what both sets mean. You have to know both sets of words. So, we're in level B2. The vocabulary is a little bit more difficult than before, but let's give it a try as a class. We're going to go from left to right, starting with Yuki, then Rafael, then Jorge, etc. Okay? So, reliable, Yuki. Pick a word from that list that you think means reliable. The best match.
I think trustworthy is the best.
I think you're right. Reliable matches best with trustworthy in this list. Notice the stress is on the first syllable. Trustworthy. Trustworthy. You said it correctly. I'm just pointing it out. I'm going to point out where the stress is, because in all these words, the stress is in a different place. Okay? Stress is the emphasized syllable. Raphael, what word matches best with unsuccessful?
I think unsuccessful match with ineffective.
Good. Notice the stress is on the third syllable. On the third syllable. Say it again for me.
Ineffective.
Good. You can be even stronger. Ineffective. Ineffective. So it's really effect, I think. Ineffective. Ineffective. Third syllable. Ineffective.
Ineffective.
That's it. And Jorge, showy. What word meant the same as showy?
Sorry, but I don't know. It's the first time I listen to Zoe.
Did you hear the interview that I read? When you came into class, did you hear the interview, the audio?
I don't know. Sorry?
Did you hear the interview
No,
that I was reading?
I connected to the class, I think, after the interview of the...
Okay, yes. Because we heard all of these words in a context.
Okay.
So just listen and learn for now. We'll come back to... but, actually, Jorge, why don't you give it a try? I mean, just give your best guess. Which word do you think matches best with showy from the list? Think about what I was talking about with Giuseppe a moment ago. Do Asian markets like big, flashy, showy things? No, they don't. So what was the word that Giuseppe used for showy? Do you remember what he said?
Showy.
Yeah, he didn't say that word. He said a different word.
I don't know, sir. I don't know, maybe arrogant or ostentatious.
Pronunciation is ostentatious.
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 Good. That's correct. Ostentatious is the best match for showy.
Okay.
Ostentatious is the best match for showy. Very good. And Ishmael, what do you think is the best connection with positive from this list?
Positive.
What kind of impression should we make on the market? Another way to say positive impression.
Successful.
Impressions we can't really make a successful impression. Not exactly. Another way to say favorable. Right, positive and favorable. We want to make a favorable impression, a positive impression or favorable impression. That's it. And Giuseppe, we're up to costly, number 5.
Expensive.
Expensive, that's easy. Francesco, mistrustful.
Worry.
Not exactly. There's a better one. If you don't trust someone, you think they are what kind of person?
Suspicious.
Of course. Mistrustful is suspicious. That's the synonym. In this list, that's the synonym. Okay? We're up to complicated, Yuki.
Complicated.
Oh, did I skip practical? Sorry, practical.
Practical, I think functional.
Functional. And Raphael, complicated? What do you think?
Worry would be.
For not that kind of complicated. No, that's the Spanish meaning of complicated. Es complicado. But in English, complicated doesn't mean that. That's the thing. It only has one meaning. Same as like too elaborate, too complicated, too elaborate.
Too elaborate.
Yeah.
Complex.
Yeah, it's got to be complex here. But that's good because in Latin languages, complicated means something else. But in English, it means too elaborate, too complex. Another way to say simple, Jorge. This one's easy.
Simple.
Yeah.
Modest.
Got to be modest. We said that the Asian market prefers more modest things rather than ostentatious things. And Ishmael, effective. Effective. If something is effective, if your marketing campaign was effective, it was what? What happened to Ishmael? Are you there?
Yes.
There you go.
Effective means successful.
Yeah, successful. That's it. Successful. We're back. Overconfident, Giuseppe.
Arrogant.
Arrogant. Cautious, Francesco.
Now,
There's only one choice left.
Worry.
Good. Wary.
Wary.
Not worry. Wary.
Wary. Okay.
Because worry is, right, preoccupato. I don't know how you say it. Worry.
Yes.
Okay. So, wary. To be wary of something. To be cautious about it. Okay, that's it. Very good. Now we've got some keywords and we've got some descriptive words. Let's see what we can do with these. Which of the adjectives are positive and which are negative? Explain your choices. Okay, let's go back from right to left now. I want you to give me one positive, one negative, Francesco. One positive and one negative.
It depends according to culture, I think, Jon-Eric.
Well, you want to think about English and American culture here.
Okay.
So, Anglophone culture.
Positive, successful.
Okay, I think we'd all agree on that. So one positive would be successful, and give me one negative.
Negative, arrogant.
Arrogant. I think we all agree with that, right? No one's going to say that arrogant is a positive word. Okay, I agree. Okay, so Giuseppe, let's keep going down the list. One positive and one negative. By the way, if you think the word can be used as both positive and negative, that's fine. Let me know, but give me a reason why. If you think it can be used in both categories, go ahead, Giuseppe.
Trustworthy and ineffective.
So trustworthy as positive and ineffective as negative. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, keep going. Ishmael, one positive, one negative that we haven't mentioned so far. So far we have trustworthy and successful for positive, and we have arrogant and, what did you say, Giuseppe?
Ineffective.
Ineffective, okay. Ishmael, give me two more.
For example, expensive is negative and modest is positive.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Do you think that modest could be negative as well, or only positive?
I think modest is positive according to my view.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it could be used as negative too. I wonder. Because I agree with you. I think it's mostly a positive thing. Generally, it's seen as a good quality. But I wonder if the word itself could be negative. Because we got something called false modesty. But anyway, I agree with you, basically. So modest for positive and negative was expensive. I don't think anyone would think expensive
Modest
is positive.
accepted in US as negatively?
I just wonder if it could be seen as negative, too. I wonder. Because we've got false modesty. You know, but maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I think for our
being modest is the best virtue for Japan.
Of course. I can't really think of an example, but so let's skip it. I think you're right. Ishmael. Okay, Jorge. Jorge,
Yeah.
what do you think? Can you give me one more positive and one more negative out of that list? What's your opinion? One that we haven't mentioned, ones that we haven't mentioned so far.
I think cautious or worry is positive.
Cautious, okay.
Complicated could be negative.
Complicated could be a negative. Okay. Here's what I want to say about both of those. They could both be positive and they could both be negative, if you think about it. Because if I say you really got you're a cautious person, depending on the situation, that could be good,
I
right?
agree.
If you're in the military and your job is to detect landmines, being cautious is a good thing. If you're a venture capital startup company, being cautious is a negative thing. If you're cautious, you don't take risks, you're never going to get anywhere. So it really does depend on the situation. But generally, I kind of agree with you. Generally, yes. Okay, so these are examples that could possibly be used in both categories. Okay, what haven't we mentioned, Raphael? What have we missed so far?
It's difficult to find.
Well, we've said
Wary could be one.
Wary, okay. What do you think that would be?
Yeah, I think wary could have two sides, one good side, and on the other hand could be favorable and disfavorable for the other side.
Favorable and unfavorable.
Unfavorable.
I agree. Yeah. Could go both ways, sure.
Yeah. And the other could be ostentatious. Could you repeat, please?
Ostentatious.
Ostentatious.
Yeah, it sounds like a j. Ostentatious. I'm sorry. No. It doesn't like a j. It sounds like a sh. Ostentatious. Sorry.
Ostentatious.
Yeah.
This is the bad side. If you made a web page very ostentatious, could be dangerous for you.
Yeah, it's hard to think of a case where being ostentatious is a positive thing. I mean, it is possible, but it kind of sounds like it sounds a little arrogant, flashy in a kind of arrogant way. But I suppose we could find a context where being ostentatious is really necessary. I don't know. I suppose we could. But anyway, generally, I agree. It sounds more negative. So both of these could go both ways, but generally, ostentatious sounds more negative than positive. Yuki, have we missed anything from the list, or did we get them all? We've missed at least 2 words that I can see. 2, 3, 4. We've missed 4 words, at least 4 words. 5 words.
Maybe complex.
Complex, okay.
Complex. It's a negative word.
Really? Only negative? Only negative? Really?
Maybe both.
Don't you think it could be both?
Complex. I think complex is more negative.
Not necessarily. I mean,
not necessarily.
If you read a novel, you want the novel to be complex, probably. And that's not. I mean, it depends on the context. I don't think it is an only negative word. The way ostentatious is maybe more negative than positive. I think complex is very neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's.
If you say someone's class is too complex for me. If you say that, I think you mention that.
But I might say it's not complex enough for me. I mean, I think it's quite neutral. Complex is quite neutral, right? But if we said complicated, that would be maybe if you meant complicated, complex, like complicated. It's too complicated for me. Sure, that has a more negative ring to it. I think complex can go either way. But you're right, it can be negative. You're absolutely right. As we see, there are certain words that are only positive or negative, and some have a shade of meaning one way or another. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else?
Also, I think suspicious.
Suspicious.
It's a negative word.
Absolutely. Only negatives. Nothing positive about being suspicious. Okay, let me add a few others to the list. I think we missed simple. Simple, it depends if you're talking about people or situations. Generally, simple is a positive thing if you're talking about design. Simplicity tends to be positive. Simple can have a negative meaning. Simple can mean stupid. If you're talking about people, he seems a bit simple. Don't call people simple. But if you're talking about most situations, it's favorable because it gives the idea of simplicity and elegance. Mistrustful is a negative word. I don't think we said that. Overconfident is a negative expression. To be overconfident, nothing good about that. And practical, I think we missed practical. That would be positive. Costly, that would be negative. Showy would be negative. I think that's it. I think it's all the words.
And
So,
when we
what?
talk about a fashion show,
Yeah.
Jon-Eric, ostentatious would be associated with a positive meaning.
Sure, absolutely. If you say ostentatious, bombastic, over the top, those could be positive things for the arts or design, like fashion or music. He's an ostentatious guitar player. He's really flashy, really showy. Sure, absolutely. I think it can go both ways. But I think generally speaking, it can be negative. If you're talking about business, it could be a little bit negative, right? So
Yes.
it's got both. It's got both. Using as many adjectives as possible, discuss what makes an effective website in your culture. Ishmael, I want you to use no less than 3 of these adjectives, no less than 3, to tell me what makes a website successful in the Turkish culture, in a business context.
We are in the middle of two culture, like our geographical situation. We
You're
are between.
stuck in the middle.
Yes, we are not west or not east. We are in the center of both of them. Actually,
What happened with your application to the European Union? Did that get rejected? Or it's still on hold?
it is not officially rejected, but
you've got to get rid of Iraq. Move Iraq to the right.
It's
you've got to put a buffer between you and Iraq, and then you'll be accepted. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Iraq, but unfortunately, we have a habit of invading it. So, I don't know. Because then Syria's going to want to join, Iraq's going to want to join. Everyone will be European soon. European Union is just a nonsensical idea, to be honest with you. It doesn't really work. So maybe you're better off without it. But back to websites. So
yes.
you think it's kind of in between the more kind of Eastern, modest aesthetic and the more ostentatious, flashy Western one. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, great. If you had to choose maybe 2 adjectives to describe a typical website that's successful, what would you choose?
I will choose a functional and
good.
A trustworthy one.
Okay, good.
Actually.
So Turkish websites should be functional, and they should be trustworthy. They should instill trust in the viewer. I say viewer of the website. Okay, great. Jorge and Rafael, how does that contrast with a Spanish website? What do you think? I'd like you each to use some of the adjectives that you find here. Spanish websites should be what, Rafael?
Yeah, in my opinion, one successful Spanish website need to create a trustworthy environment in the website. Don't to be so arrogant, so much arrogant. Need to be very functional, no modest, without ostentatious. But
So not modest, but also not so ostentatious. Is that
no,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to be very successful, I think it needs to be simple, with very functional, and no leave any kind of suspicious.
Not if you listen. If you don't have a subject, like I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. If you don't have a subject, instead of saying don't, you say not. So not leaving any grounds for suspicion. Not leaving.
Not leaving.
Because you didn't mention the subject. If you said it would be it shouldn't or it doesn't, depending on what you're going to say. If you don't mention the subject, you would change don't to not. That's a good thing to keep in mind, because it's a quick shortcut when you're speaking. Let me just get the Italians to chime in for a second before we do our speaking activity. Francesco and Giuseppe, what do you think? If you had to each choose an adjective, would you choose the same ones as our Turkish? And we already know Yuki's going to say modest. So we already know that. What do you think about the Italians? My feeling is that Italian websites are probably much more either very showy or very, very elegant and refined. I kind of can see them going both ways. What do you think? Francesco, what do you think?
Yes, I think it should be simple and functional.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are a lot of complex. It's a lot of complicated.
Complicated what? It's an adjective, so complicated. You need a noun. Complicated what?
The existing website are a lot of complicated.
Complicated what?
Yeah.
It's an adjective, so you have to say complicated things, complicated aspects, complicated images. You need
complicated layout and
okay. Complicated
information.
Layouts, complicated design. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It should be more simpler and functional, and sometimes reliable, because sometimes you can see a website that are.
Sometimes you see.
Sometimes you see that the website are a suspicious website.
Because they're Italian?
No, because they are complicated and you don't know where it came from. So,
right.
So
you don't know what you're going to get yourself into if you click things.
Yeah.
Giuseppe, what aspects of a website would give a negative first impression to you? What would give you a negative first impression?
Yeah, actually, every single website has a suspicious advertisement, and
really?
sometimes, yeah.
Even my YouTube channel, really?
Depends on the websites, but sometimes, well, for example,
even the Verbling website, even Verbling.
No.
Oh, okay.
For instance, if you look for streaming video, and then you have to subscribe some suspicious websites or some very link because they interrupt you when you
when you use wary, you should say it's good to use it like this. You should be wary of links where you have to subscribe to the website. You should be wary of. That's a good way to use it. In other words, you should be suspicious of links where you have to do some kind of an inscription, rather than saying the links are wary. The links aren't wary. People are wary of something. Is that clear?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you have to do any kind of subscription, I really hate that. I have a false email with a false identity where I do all my inscriptions with no links back to my original email because I have no idea what information I'm giving to people. So I just create a false one, a fake Gmail account, and literally every single inscription on the internet is with that fake Gmail account. I agree with you 100%. That's the first thing that would give me, not the first thing, but that would give me a negative impression because I really want to know why I have to register. I really don't like that. I agree completely.
Yeah,
Well,
but
sorry, go ahead.
if you can, well, for example, recently people got in trouble because of some suspicious link. That the first site was they weren't really suspicious because, for example, when you wanna book a flight online, and if you don't pay attention to the sites, to the websites, you can subscribe unconsciously. Unconsciously, yes. Unconsciously, some I don't know the right words in English. Abbonamento.
Like a phishing scam. A phishing scam.
Yeah, phishing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that happens. There was a recent one where it was really convincing. I can't remember what it was. It was something major though, but it was really convincing. But anyway, yeah, I've seen it happen even with the websites, government websites, like for tax office and things like that. You got to really make sure that it's a secure connection and that it looks legitimate. There was one recently that was really good. I can't remember what it was. It was just the other day. Anyway, well, look, before we run out of time here, here's what I'd like us to do as a group. Look at the things which can create a good or bad first impression. Besides the things that we've mentioned so far about websites, here's a whole list of things that could potentially, this goes back to our tangible and intangible things from the very first class we did. The glossy brochure is a tangible. Your reputation is an intangible. Your warm greeting is an intangible, right? Your reputation is intangible. The dress code is a tangible. So these are different kinds of tangible and intangible things which may give a certain impression. Which four are the most important, do you think, and why? What I want us to do as a group is have a brief business meeting, very short, where we have to discuss how to make a good impression on our clients. Okay? So we are Verbling. No, we're not Verbling. We're the competition to Verbling. We are the Yuki School of Language. We are the Yuki School of Language. Who's our clientele, Yuki?
My client.
Yeah, who's your clients?
My client is people studying foreign language.
Okay.
Japanese.
Okay, like Japanese.
Sometimes Russian.
Okay, great. So we're teaching, let's say we're teaching Japanese. We're offering products that teach Japanese, Russian.
Japanese, sometimes I teach Russian.
Maybe English. Maybe English too. Maybe a little bit of English. So we are the Yuki School of Language. We are competition to Verbling. You all know Verbling. We're a competition to Verbling. We're a competitor. As a group, I want us to decide which of those things are the most important for us. Now, keep in mind that the tangibles are going to be limited because most of our clientele will be online. That doesn't mean all of them will be online because there's going to be other ways we might have contact with people. So we got to think about that. But as a group, I'd like us to quickly, as a group, using the adjectives and the keywords we've learned so far, have a brief business meeting right now. We decide which are the most important and what we should do to create a good impression as a policy from this point on. Is that clear what our task is? Any questions? Any questions so far? Is it clear? We cool?
Cool.
No questions? Okay. I'm going to start the meeting in this way. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to the meeting today. As you know, we're here to discuss how to make a good first impression on our clients, and we could extend that more broadly to how to make a good first impression in any situation that we happen to be at. That includes conferences and meeting investors and things like that. But we're going to focus mostly on our brand image, mostly on our users. So what I'd like to get from the group is a sense of what are the most important, good or bad impressions. What are the most important factors of a good or bad impression that we can make? Let's start with just deciding what are the most important. I'd like to come up with 4 of the most important things we should keep in mind. Okay? So maybe I could hear a little comment from each of you. Francesco, do you think you could start? What would be your maybe you just give us 1 or 2.
Okay. First of all, I think speaking customers' language,
Right.
because you have to know your customer, your client, and the quality of the product and service.
So what you mean is we ourselves should be multilingual, because in the Yuku School of Language we're teaching at least 3 languages, Japanese, Russian, and English. So
Okay.
we ourselves should be trilingual. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be tough. That's not going to be so easy. Okay, that's a good point. And the second thing was about the quality of the product.
Yeah.
How would you tangibly ensure the quality of the product?
The quality is the service that you can offer. For example, pay attention to.
For example, paying attention.
Paying attention to the details of the services or product. To I don't know. To offer a complete service that maybe the competitor can't offer.
Okay, so offering a more complete service than the competitors.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Right.
All right. Very good. So for you, the most important things are really speaking the language of the customer, literally speaking the language of the customer, and focusing on product quality. Okay,
Yes.
great. I'm just going to skip around the room here and give people a chance to talk that haven't spoken. So, Jorge, I'd like you to first say whether you agree or disagree with Francesco, and then I'd like you to add your most important point, if you disagree. So what do you think, Jorge? Do you agree with Francesco? Jorge, are you there? Hello? Going once, going twice. Sold to... Who's next? Who wants it?
I wanna.
Go for it.
I agree in some part with my mate Francesco, but also I think we need to improve our business premises because we don't have any meeting room. We need to improve the conference rooms when you are trying to make a good impression to your customers. Of course, the quality of the product, and also improve the presence in the internet, trying to improve our website and
so trying to improve our web presence. Good.
And another idea could be to improve and develop new advertisements in the media. I think this would be another.
So what you're saying is that making an impression on basically our investors and partners who come to the premises, because I don't think we're teaching students in the premises. I think we're teaching students online, Correct me if I'm wrong. But making a good impression on our investors and partners is important too, and we need to have the conference rooms that will really make a good impression on them as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Ooh, that was loud. Ishmael.
Sorry,
Ishmael.
Jon-Eric, my son. Yes.
Does your son agree with Raphael?
Yes, I partially agree with Raphael, but I think a little different.
Okay.
According to my point of view, the most important thing is quality of service to make a first impression on a education business. And
okay.
I
So
can,
you agree more with Francesco in that case?
yes,
Okay.
because this item cover all of the others item, and
This item covers. Is that what you said? Covers.
Covers the others parameters.
Okay.
Uniform.
Instead of covers.
Business premise.
Wait. Instead of covers, this item encapsulates all the others. Encapsulates.
Encapsulates.
Good word. Encapsulates. Take a look in the chat window, by the way. Encapsulates.
Encapsulates.
Okay, and how so, Ishmael? How so? How are the other items all encapsulated inside of quality of service? Let me know.
The others are the many of others are small details.
Right.
Beside the quality of service, actually, Jon-Eric. And if we focus on the quality of service on education, after that it comes reputation and the others.
Okay, so we got a kind of a hierarchy that we need to be aware of. That's a really good point. We've got to finish the class in just a minute, but I'd still like to hear from Giuseppe and Yuki as well. Maybe, Giuseppe, you could comment on Ishmael's hierarchy. Do you agree that quality of service encapsulates the others? It trumps, that means it's more important. It trumps the others in terms of importance. That's a good word for you, to trump. So you think that quality of service trumps the others because it encapsulates everything. All the others support quality of service.
Well, I think it is right. It's right because the quality service encapsulates the reputation of the company.
Okay, for example, sure, absolutely. So,
and I give you the word to Yuki.
So Yuki, just to finish up our meeting, what would you say then are the 4 factors we need to be most concerned with in hierarchy or not? What do you think are the 4 we should pay the most attention to here? Because then from there we can, in the next class we can actually plan a campaign based on those 4. So what do you think? Leave us with the 4 that we should choose to make a good impression.
Personally, I pay more attention to the modesty of of a teacher. I think modesty is first is what is most needed to the teacher. You can prepare the material. Also, I could also add that being cautious is also important factor for teacher. You have to prepare cautiously the material for the next class.
Cautiously? I don't know if I like that word though, because cautiously sounds like you're afraid of something. You mean carefully in this case?
Yes.
Yeah, not cautiously. We're not afraid of the students. Well, we might be, but we're not going to tell them. if we're afraid of them. Okay, any final comments? Because we were a bit over time. I thought I heard someone. Okay, maybe not. Listen, here's what I'm going to leave you with, because we've got to stop. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of homework so that you can practice the two sets of keywords, the nouns and the adjectives we learned. It'll be a simple homework like matching or something like that. I'm going to try in this level to give you extra homework, which you can do or not do, it's up to you, but something that's a little bit more involved than the work we've been doing before. So first you'll get something very simple like matching or fill in the blanks, but I'll try to give you an outside reading or an outside article or something that gives you more access to vocabulary that extends what we've done in the classroom, okay? So I don't know if I'll have time to do that today because I have to leave soon, but I'm going to at least post the homework. You'll get a link in your Verbling message service in a few minutes. I'll post it, okay? Try it on your own. The answers will be there for you, but I'll be there to answer any questions tomorrow at the same time, and we're going to move on to our key expressions. In fact, I'll tell you what it is. Hold on. Tomorrow we're going to work on introducing yourself by email, making a follow-up call, while making a good impression, not being too ostentatious, for example. Okay, so we're going to work on that tomorrow. Try the homework tonight, and sometime, if not tonight, then tomorrow, I'm going to give you a separate assignment that'll be a little more involved. Typically, an outside reading to do, and typically an outside writing to do at some point in each of these units, because now we've moved to a higher level, so it should be more challenging. Okay, I'll be back at the same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. GMT for the Great Short Stories class, and 11 GMT for the business communication skills part of this unit, how to talk about making a good first impression. Bye for now, everyone. See you
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye, Jon-Eric. Bye.